Okay, everybody, absolutely gigantic news. SpaceX has acquired xAI as of today, February 2nd, 2026. This is massive. I want to walk you through the statement. It has a ton of implications. If you've been following the Musk story closely, this you probably thought was coming, probably not as fast as it did, but this has massive implications. So let me go ahead and go through the statement just so we can all be on the same page. So xAI joins SpaceX to accelerate humanity's future. Very grand Musk-style mission statement. SpaceX has acquired xAI to form the most ambitious, vertically integrated innovation engine on and off Earth with AI, rockets, space-based internet, direct-to-mobile device communications, and the world's foremost real-time information and free speech platform. This marks not just the next chapter, but the next book in SpaceX and xAI's mission, scaling to make a sentient sun. This is just so crazy. Make a sentient sun to understand the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars. Okay, so if this sounds like science fiction, it's because it kind of is, but there have been a lot of different technical things that are happening in the real world that's allowing for this kind of grand statement to happen. So if you've been following the Musk story closely, you know that he's been working on technology for a really long time. What's happening is there's this gigantic explosion in AI capability. And this AI capability is actually calling for a lot of demand of AI systems on the planet. So AI compute clusters, AI training chips, a lot of energy, a lot of resources. And one of the biggest bottlenecks right now is the actual energy needed to power these AI systems. And so what SpaceX, with merging with xAI, what the real core thing they're trying to solve for here is moving the AI computers, as my son is celebrating this, is moving the AI computers from Earth to space. And in space, the benefit you get is that you can have a satellite just going around the Earth 24/7, and it's always pointing against the sun to collect the energy, and it just radiates the heat away into the darkness of space. I actually have videos on that on this channel if you want to learn more about it. And on the other side, xAI is what makes the models. So xAI, the company that actually makes the AI, that's the reason why they merged with SpaceX, because SpaceX is the thing that's going to launch the AI into space. So SpaceX is going to make the satellites and the rockets to put in space, and then xAI is going to develop the actual brain, the AI model, and probably the chips, in partnership with Tesla, because now Tesla is going to be making chips as well. Now you probably see why all these three are coming together. And so that's the sort of the conduit to put it in space. And now SpaceX and xAI become one entity, because if most of your business is going to be that, which is going to be putting satellites in space to power artificial intelligence, then it kind of makes sense to bring all those things together. Okay, it's just crazy. Okay, but it's happening. This is actually happening. So yeah. By the way, the valuation of this company is 1.25 trillion. 1.25 trillion. This combination, which makes it by far the most valuable private company on the planet. I think the next closest is OpenAI at like 600 billion. And then it's, I think, the 10th largest company in the world or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but something close to that. Okay, here we go. Current advances in AI are dependent on large terrestrial data centers, which require immense amounts of power and cooling. Global electricity demand for AI simply cannot be met with terrestrial solutions, even in the near term, without imposing hardship on communities and the environment. So this is sort of calling out like a lot of the NIMBYism, not in my backyard, keep it away from my community kind of thing. Some of the, energy requirements, some of the water use cases that people have called out. So this is SpaceX's sort of solution to say, okay, so regulations are not going to allow us to do this. We're just going to throw it up in the sky. So that's their solution. In the long term, space-based AI is obviously the only way to scale. To harness even a millionth of our sun's energy would require over 1 million times more energy than our civilization currently uses. The only logical solution, therefore, is to transport these resource-intensive efforts to a location with vast power and space. I mean, space is literally called space for a reason. By directly harnessing near constant solar power, with little operating or maintenance costs, these satellites will transform our ability to scale compute. It's always sunny in space. Launching a constellation of 1 million satellites that operate as orbital data centers is a first step towards becoming a Kardashev 2 level civilization, one that can harness the sun's full power while supporting AI-driven applications for billions of people today and ensuring humanity's multi-planetary future. And that's kind of what it looks like. That's their envisioning is, you have this Starship rocket, this new rocket that they're building out in space, shooting out these satellites that are going to power the AI. Pretty wild stuff. In the history of spaceflight, There has never been a vehicle capable of launching the megatons of mass that space-based data centers or permanent bases on the moon and cities on Mars require. Even in 2025, the most prolific year in history in terms of the number of orbital launches, only about 3,000 tons of payload was launched into orbit, primarily consisting of Starlink satellites carried by a Falcon rocket. The requirement to launch thousands of satellites to orbit became a forcing function for the Falcon program, driving recursive improvements to reach the unprecedented flight rates necessary to make space-based internet a reality. So just to kind of make that into like non-nerd speak, I guess, what they're really trying to solve for is, with Starship, is putting as much as possible into orbit, into space. The big limitation in the space industry has been how much stuff you can put up there in space. And Falcon 9, with it being reusable, with it coming back, what it allowed SpaceX to do is to keep launching stuff into space without massive costs. Because traditionally what you have to do is you take the rocket, and then once you use it, you literally just explodes, or it just goes into the ocean and it's gone forever. But with SpaceX bringing the rockets back, that allows them to basically use them like an airplane. So just constantly shooting them up into space over and over again. And that unlocked them being able to have Starlink, that space-based satellite that actually works really, really well. The only reason why that exists is because we've made rockets be able to come back. And then Starship, this one, is taking it a whole new level. They're going to be shipping way more stuff into space, 10 times, even 100 times more into space over time. And so what that means is that now you have the ability to send gigantic structures into space. And that's why these AI satellites in space now make sense, because they're gigantic, as I'm sure you're about to read here from Elon. This year, Starship will begin delivering the much more powerful V3 Starlink satellites to orbit, with each launch adding more than 20 times the capacity to the constellation as the current Falcon launches of the V2 Starlink satellites. Starship will also launch the next generation of direct-to-mobile satellites, which will deliver full cellular coverage anywhere on Earth. So again, all of these things are possible because of a ginormous rocket that helps them put really advanced stuff into orbit. While the need to launch these satellites will act as a similar forcing function to drive Starship improvements and launch rates, the sheer number of satellites that will be needed for space-based data centers will push Starship to even greater heights. With launches every hour carrying 200 tons per flight, Starship will deliver millions of tons of orbit and beyond per year, enabling an exciting future where humanity is out exploring amongst the stars. So another way of saying this is the satellite business is going to make SpaceX unbelievable amounts of money, because the demand for really fast internet anywhere that also beams down AI, that's going to be way more intelligent than the AI we have now. People are going to pay for that, and businesses are going to pay for that. And then SpaceX is going to take that money, and they're going to reinvest it into colonizing Mars, colonizing the moon, sending, things out into space. Really, the Star Trek future, the futuristic future that all of us were always fascinated by, is actually happening. That's what this is conveying. But from a business perspective, it also makes perfect sense, because if, again, you're making these Starship rockets, thousands of them per year, they already have the use case with Falcon 9. They proved that they can do it. With Starship, they just take it into another level, and all of a sudden, all these industries start to open up, because now you have this massive rocket that opens up all this capability for you. It's just insane. The basic math is that launching 1 million tons per year of satellite generation, generating 100 kilowatts of compute power per ton, would add 100 gigawatts of AI compute capacity annually. Basically, what he's saying here is we'll be able to add 10 to 100 times more data centers in space that power AI with these rockets over the next few years versus building them on Earth. So we're going to get way, way better AI way faster because of this technology, with no ongoing operational maintenance needs. Ultimately, there is a path to launching 1 terawatt per year from Earth. My estimates is that within 2 to 3 years, the lowest cost way to generate AI compute will be in space. This cost efficiency alone will enable innovative companies to forge ahead in training their AI models and processing data at unprecedented speeds and scales, accelerating breakthroughs in our understanding of physics and invention of technologies to benefit humanity. So this is a fascinating statement. This cost efficiency alone will enable innovative companies to forge ahead in training their AI models and processing data at unprecedented speeds and scales. So what I'm reading there is that this partnership, this capability to put stuff into space, is not just going to be xAI building the AIs. It's going to be literally anybody who wants to train their AI utilizing the satellites that SpaceX and xAI, now this space AI, whatever you want to call this, this company, now this new company, they're going to sell that training and inference, sort of like a fancy word for what the AI's computers do. They're going to sell that to companies to train their AI model. So it's not just going to be a SpaceX xAI monopoly. They're going to actually sell those services, which makes perfect sense. And again, they're going to use that money to fund the other operations, Moon, Mars, etc. This new constellation will build upon the well-established space sustainability design and operational strategies, including end-of-life disposal, that have proven successful for SpaceX's existing broadband satellite system. While launching AI satellites from Earth is the immediate focus, Starship's capabilities will also enable operations in other worlds. Thanks to advancements like in-space propellant transfer, Starship will be capable of landing massive amounts of cargo on the moon. There you go. Once there, it will be possible to establish a permanent presence for scientific and manufacturing pursuits. Factories on the moon can take advantage of lunar resources to manufacture satellites and deploy them further into space. We made a video about that, talking about that earlier in this channel. By using an electromagnetic mass driver in lunar manufacturing, it is possible to put 500 to 1,000 terawatts per year of AI satellites into space, meaningfully ascend the Kardashev scale, and harness a non-trivial percentage of the sun's power. What's the simplest way of saying that? Because the moon has no gravity and you can build things on the moon to shoot stuff. When I say no gravity, I don't mean no gravity. It's the gravity on the moon is a lot lower, so you don't need as much energy to put stuff into space, okay? To make it just go far. You can literally build stuff on the moon, like build the chips on the moon, build these maglev things on the moon, and just shoot these satellites that will just be able to use the energy from the sun to generate intelligence, right? These AI chips, and it'll be basically free because they're just out there in space. And whatever else you want to put out there, you can just put way more out there into space because the gravity on the moon is a lot less than the Earth. And so the amount of effort it takes to get stuff into space is much slower on the moon. I don't even know if I explained that correctly. Let's hope. Sorry about that. The abilities we unlock by making space-based data centers a reality will fund and enable self-growing bases on the moon, an entire civilization on Mars, and ultimately expansion to the universe. Thank you for everything you have done and will do for the light cone of consciousness ad astra to the stars. And there's the beautiful Starship rocket. Okay, so insane news. If you've been following Musk industry, this has been in the works for a while. The overarching thought process here is that the advancements for artificial intelligence, this is really an artificial intelligence play, are about to massively explode over the next 5 years because this technology is going to enable the growth of AI to not be limited by energy, but be limited by the number of satellites we can put into space to power the AI. And it's overcoming a lot of the hardship that a lot of AI companies are having on Earth. But the most fascinating thing about this is that now there's a very obvious forcing function, so a very obvious thing that's pushing companies to actually use space. So it's not like a science project or hoping that NASA is going to fund something. It's actually, there's a business case for it, and it's all rooted in this technology existing, which is the Starship rocket. When you have a massive rocket that can come back, and you can use it multiple times a day without having to refurbish it. You just literally just throw it up into space. You put stuff into space, it comes back, you refuel it, and off it goes over and over and over and over again. A lot of things become possible. And now SpaceX has achieved it. So now it's just a matter of making the rockets. And then as it comes this year, you'll see this happen. Then there's going to be a lot of talk about merging SpaceX, this newest SpaceX entity, with xAI into Tesla and making that a ginormous company, because now Tesla, with their vehicle chips that they're making, the chips for the cars, the FSD computer and their human or robot, that same chip, that AI chip, is going to be used to power these satellites. So it kind of makes sense to put them all together. Okay, moving on. We'll make a separate video about this whole thing. Enjoy. Breaking news. Oh, I have a new book coming out, February 14th, Abundance or Collapse. Some of these themes are in there, how AI is going to change the world. It's up for pre-order, available for sale February 14th. Hardcover, paperback, and on Kindle. You can pre-order the Kindle version now. Thank you. Love you. Bye.